Good morning, my dear friends. So, welcome to my channel, Prodbug. So, in the last chapter, we have seen that how we can read a JSON and we can how we can read a nested JSON array in a JSON and normal JSON, right? So, in this chapter, I am going to cover the web URL, how you are going to read a JSON from the web URL, right? So, let's say this is a URL. Whenever you are hitting this particular URL, you are getting a JSON. Okay, so this is a JSON. I will show you the structure of this JSON. JSON, we are just open this. It will look better. It will be easy to understand. Okay, so this is a JSON. Okay, and we want to read this, but the source is not a JSON file as we have seen in the last chapter. The source is a website. It's a URL, an API, you can say. All right. So how to read directly from the API? We are going to focus on that. Okay. So this is the code. Let's say this is an API which we need to hit and we need to fetch some values and we want to verify something. Okay. So this is the API, this is a string I have passed to this particular method. Let's go to this method. So what we are doing here, it's a URL. Okay, let me show you the URL imports which will be required. So faster XML, all this JSON parser, all this thing will be required and nothing else. And the java.net.url, this particular import will be required. So what we are giving, we are simply passing our URL, that string into this particular URL. This will automatically will convert into the URL. Okay, this is the Java class. And with object mapper, you know that, right? In the last video I have explained you, this is the main class of faster XML library, which is actually dealing with all this JSON stuff. So what we have created a object mapper, and from this object mapper we are reading we call this particular read value method, and this we have passed two values here, the URL which we have read here and the class JSON node dot class. Okay, so using this it will be converted to a JSON node, and once we have the JSON node, it's very easy for us. We know how to read the key value from a JSON node, which we have seen in the last chapter. So from that JSON node, we can fetch, let's say, any key like sentence. Okay, and I will show you here what I'm fetching. See, this is a simple key, right? We are passing the sentence and whatever the value, it will be fetched easily. Okay, now I want to read the nested JSON again. So you need to give the path here, JSON node dot path character. So I am reading this particular node character. After that, I am again writing a dot path name. I am giving name inside a character. Okay, this particular node, see, this is the kind of XPath, right? I am going one by one and I'm fetching the path. Now I want a name, but not this name. I want to read this particular name, which is again inside a house, right? It's a beautiful nested JSON, right? So what we have to go first, you need to read this character, then you need to read house, and then you need to know, then you need to read name. It's the same as the XPath, like we are using in Selenium, right? So we are reading first character. Inside the character, we have a house. Inside the house, we have a name node, right? And we want the text of that value of that name. Okay, so let's run this particular class. So it will hit that particular API on runtime, and whatever the key values will be fetched here. Okay, see, the sentence is this particular, I was nothing at all, whatever, and the character is this, and the house name is this. So all the values has been fetched. Please note that on every run, this API is changing the values. Okay, so whatever the value, next time the character, everything will be changed. Okay, so whatever at that runtime, it will be read according to that. Fine, friends. Okay, let's quickly go to the next example. In this is a kind of same example, but a bit different. In this, what we are doing, we are reading a JSON file from a file, okay, a static file, and I want to show you that how we can play with this, like from the JSON file, we are going to convert into it into that file into the URI, and from the URI we will convert to the URL, and from URL back to the JSON node. In the first chapter, we have seen that from the JSON file we can directly convert into a JSON node, but I just want to show you that sometimes we have some URL also, sometimes we have JSONs in URI form also. Okay, so you should know that if some developer is giving you a JSON in URI format or in URL format, then you should not be afraid that, okay, how we can read that, right? Because we generally are used to read JSON from a file, right? It's a general habit. But even if we are getting in any particular form, we should be comfortable. Okay, so this is any JSON. Okay, and this is the path of that JSON, and what we are reading it as a file, and from the file to URI, it's a simple method. Okay, from file to URI, I will show you the import. If there are any special, see, these are the imports which you need to focus on: java.net .uri URL, all this thing. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are reading from the file, we are calling this particular method URI, it will be converted as a URI, and we will print it. Okay, from the URI you can easily convert using this particular method URL to URL, so it will be easily converted to the URL. Now we have the URL, and using the object mapper we can read, we can convert this URL to JSON node, which we have seen just now, right? And once we have the JSON node, then our life is really easy, because we simply need to fetch the keys, like the Bob we have seen, right? The Bob, that is the parent node, and from the Bob we are fetching the first name and the age of the Bob, right? So this is not that JSON, this is the JSON, not this one. This one. Okay, so Bob, first name is Bobby and age is 35. Okay, let's see. Okay, so let me run that particular example. And the output is the path, and this is the URI. C. This is a form of URI, and this is the URL. Okay, and this is the first name and the age. Fine. I hope this particular code snippet is clear to you guys. And in the next chapter, we will focus on the deserialization and serialization, means how to read a see, deserialization we are already doing, right? From the JSON we are reading and creating an object. So now we'll focus on the serialization, how if you have an object, how you will write a JSON file. Okay, fine. Okay, friends, thank you for watching my channel. Have a good day. Bye bye.